Hey, everybody, welcome back to Marine Corps Movie Minute, where we're breaking down movies of the Marine Corps 1 minute at a time. I'm Jack,
I'm Billy.
and this is going to be minute number 99. This is another propaganda commercial by our United States military to try and get you to enlist, and well, it does a pretty good job.
Yeah. You made a comment offline that you were like, this seems like more of a training exercise than an actual invasion.
Yeah, they got all this stuff going on, and they're trying to sneak onto an island unseen, and they got all these damn smoke launchers and like armadas of helicopters. Okay, who are you sneaking up on?
The thing that stood out to me is one of the landing crafts had a giant American flag on it.
Yep, exactly. I was just like, oh, America, fuck yeah.
Coming again to save the motherfucking day. Says the motherfucking students.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. They got a shot out of a sea stallion. They got the back doors drop down, and you see another one kind of pass by. Like, I mean, it looks all really cool. But this looks like some stuff that's like, hey guys, yeah, we're gonna be doing some training stuff today, but we're gonna be filming a movie, and just do your thing. And you get like guys get on these damn amphibs. They roll up on the beach, and they just kind of get out and just start walking around.
Well, what was it? Was it Somalia when they did a water invasion and the fucking media was sitting there waiting for them and trying to interview them as they were landing because they got word first?
Yeah.
Somebody leaked it or whatever, and they were like, the media was on the beach.
What the hell? Yeah. All these scared kids coming out of these damn craft, looking around like, what the fuck?
They were like trying to interview them and shit too. I think I can't remember. I thought it was Somalia that happened, but
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing it in boot camp. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, I mean it's a cool moment of seeing legit military vehicles, and in fact, I like these landing crafts because it reminds me of Sergeant Slaughter's Warthog that he had in GI Joe to bring that back.
Yeah. Just kind of curious which pieces of these. I mean, it's the Marines, so they're probably using the exact same ones that were used in the movie. But I wonder if it's still some of the same stuff that they still use, or if all their stuff's been updated and
I mean, it's been what? I mean, we're going on 40 years since this movie was done.
Yeah.
It was 35 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
I would think most of that stuff has been
replaced with newer stuff.
Yeah.
Marines aren't known for all their new equipment.
Well, right. I mean, like you brought up about the Bella Wood being used in a training, as target practice basically in 2006. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they find a use for an older equipment. I would think by now most of that stuff is been recycled, but you never know. I mean, it still could be used as for training, Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't take the time or energy to look up a lot of what all the equipment. That's probably my bad.
Yeah.
It's military gear.
Yeah.
One of those scenes on the helicopter, you do get a shot of, you can see Swede. It's definitely him hanging out to one side, and I think I see here. I know I caught this more than once, and he's sitting next to Quinones. Mm-hmm. And they're pointing, Quinones is pointing out to something, and I'm telling you, big guy, little guy, they're buddying up throughout this whole movie. I mean, it's a small little thing, and yeah, there's Clint Eastwood. Clearly, he's got the headphones on. He's all camoed up, and he's in his middle seat there.
Yep.
And you can see a good shot of the helicopter coming in to drop them off, and I believe we'll find out they drop them in the water, not land on the beach. Which it seems, I mean, basically the way it's shot, where the helicopter comes around, you already got all these guys on the beach. Was it really necessary to drop them in the water?
Exactly. Yeah. I was just like, why? And it's not like they don't know you're there.
Yeah. But I will say though, I think if you notice, they're leaving. Their helicopter is leaving where everybody's landed, because they're supposed to go ahead of the invasion to get some reconnaissance. Hence, their name being Recon.
Right.
When they do show one lone shot of them, of that helicopter, and you can kind of tell, you don't see any of the invasion force anywhere around. And it looks like they're heading kind of towards a little. I can't tell if that's a little village over there, or if it's just like murkiness. But
I think it's murky. I think it's like a
yeah,
little swamp area, like a little area inside the beach area.
so they're clearly going around, the another part of the island.
Mm.
So yeah, I guess that that can explain it. But
Less populated area.
yeah, but it is funny that here's this full landing invasion force, and they're like, and it seemed like they were dropping them off in the water right in front of that invasion force. But if
Yeah.
you look, that helicopter is by itself. Yeah. It's shot very much like any other Vietnam, you know.
Yeah, that era, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of well, yeah, I mean, even though it was the '80s, man, yeah, the Vietnam was still pretty recent, road rash on the American side.
We're getting all the movies though by that point, the
Yeah,
Vietnam movies. So that's what I mean. Like, I mean, we already had Apocalypse Now, and Platoon came out sometime.
yeah, Hamburger
So
Hill, yeah, there's a bunch of them. Rambo started dealing with it in a way,
oh yeah, yeah. Well, definitely, Rambo went back and avenged us.
yeah,
Like I'm
yeah,
telling you, if it wasn't for Sylvester Stallone, we would not have won the Cold War. I'll say it right now. I mean, Rocky defeated the ultimate, embodiment of communism, right? Then he gave an impassioned speech so much that it basically changed Gorbachev's mind, and he
I
started shaking.
I was going to take a different approach and agree with you, and then you lost me. You and then you lost me.
Okay, well, what's your approach? Let's go. I want to hear your theories.
Well, so
This is the first we don't usually agree, so unless it's disagree, unless it's about Batman versus Superman. But anyways, go
uh,
ahead.
so pop culture, right? Um, uh,
Oh, you're trying to be serious.
yeah,
See, I'm here. I'm here.
I was no, I knew, and I was like, and then he did this thing,
All
and I
right.
was like, oh, ugh.
Okay. Well, all right. So, thank you for ruining my joke. But yeah, I mean, because I was going to joke that you got Sylvester Stallone as Rocky defeating
Mhm.
the embodiment of communism, talking about how everybody can change, and he literally gets the whole everybody cheering for him because they're cheering for the underdog, and then they drape him an American flag, and Gorbachev like collapse. Like so that's there's that. But then also he defeats the Vietnamese and the Russians in Rambo,
Yep.
First Blood Part 2. He goes over, he frees missing in action prisoners of war. I mean, they
Yeah.
were prisoners of war, but what they thought they were MIA. So he gets them, which now I'll get into more of your, in a minute, I'll make a comment about that as far as what you were going for. But then, yeah, like, so he takes out the Vietnamese, but also the Russians were there. So he shows, and then he goes back and does it again when he kicks the Russians out of Afghanistan.
Yep.
So I mean, Sylvester Stallone, he basically embodied the defeat of communism. I'm just saying, just saying. But I know where you're going with. So you're saying like, yeah, the propaganda. Like, well, if you want to even say that, then Patrick
Yeah.
Swayze had a hand in it too. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
All those movies during that time. But yeah, Sylvester Stallone, he did a good job. Well, like Rambo, I thought was a cool movie because he addressed something at the time that not many people really wanted to talk about. Like,
yeah,
the returning vets coming back from Vietnam and how they were treated and
well, yeah, that was definitely First Blood for
yeah.
sure. And then I was going to kind of what I was hinting at was with Rambo First Blood Part 2. There was a lot of discussion, and there's still people to this day to talk about like the MIA, or the prisoners of war that never came home. I mean,
Right.
they were talking. I mean, I'm sure that was still being talked about. Hence, his reason for wanting to make one of the reasons for wanting to make that movie. But people forget, or they just don't, if not really fans of it. Rambo's a dumb action movie, whatever, or it's a fantasy because he's going to correct the wrongs of Vietnam and go back and win the war single handedly, and also
Yeah.
take it to the Russians. All right, there is some of that. There's a fantasy element to it, but that's like both those movies, at least the first two, and I think he attempted on the third one to be similar. They have some heart to it, like you said, like John Rambo in the first movie he's got PTSD, and he's
Yeah.
just and he's totally just forgotten by the government, by the people. Everybody treats him like shit. And the dude was like a hero. And yet, it was just like, so yeah, like you said, how everybody treats him. And it's a pretty powerful movie.
Yeah.
The most grounded and centered of the movies. But Rambo, First Blood Part 2, he's addressing something serious. Like he even says, like to Murdoch, you know where they are, find them, or basically, I'm going to. He's talking about missing POWs. That
Right.
was a big thing, and it's still a big thing today. And even though they've come out and said, like there's been some new information released, I thought in the last few years or the last 10 years. I mean, there's still people that really feel like they're not getting the full story from not only the Vietnamese government, but maybe even the American government. Like they,
Yeah.
it's just, but yeah, I mean, but so that's something that Rambo like addressed. Like that's a serious topic in a stupid action movie. And I
Yeah.
argue it's not a stupid action movie. I mean, it's over the top for sure,
Oh,
and not
absolutely.
the arm wrestling over the top. I mean, like over the top. But yeah, it's pretty powerful. And I think in the third one, then they also tried to do the whole the Russians are,
It's a Cold War movie.
but the attempt was there to take a serious subject and use this again dumb action movie to shed light on something
Yeah.
serious. So yeah, you're right. But you're right. I mean, definitely propaganda, and I just think there was. I mean, obviously now is totally different, but
Yeah.
in the 80s there was a much different level of overall patriotism. I mean, like hence we were talking about GI Joe.
Yeah.
We're talking about winning Vietnam. I mean, but I mean there was obviously the serious Vietnam movies as far as like Platoon, Born on the 4th of July, all those movies to show that like no, this is not a they weren't propaganda films per se. I mean, maybe they're propaganda for anti-war actually.
Yeah.
I'm not saying those movies in particular, just some, but I felt like I always felt like the movies that came out when Iraq and Afghanistan were really going on. There was very few like this is an action war movie. They were always like, oh, they were like stop loss, like oh, I'm about to get out, but I can't get out, and I hate it, and like or
Yeah.
all these movies of like the toll, and I like nowadays I like of course I like the dumb I like movies like this. Hey, here's based on a real life event. It's kind of a propaganda film. And this is another kind of propaganda film. We're getting the propaganda footage right now. Now this movie does do a little bit of the having the heart to it, but it doesn't really get into the negatives of war. It just gets into the effect
Yeah.
of personally of like, but I mean, I like the movies nowadays. Like a great example of this would be We Were Soldiers.
Yeah. That was a great movie.
It shows like the heroic side of what soldiers and Marines and all well, that was a soldier, but
Yeah. The
can do,
Intercap.
but also it showed, just how brutal it is. Like it didn't you weren't gonna join up and be like, it's something, we should all go to war. Like, I mean, it was showed how brutal. But at the same time too, it showed the toll at home by always intermingling with like the wives who were going and
Right.
bringing the telegrams. So I mean it was real. I mean, it was fairly realistic, true to life. So I like that. I like the combination. But don't get me wrong. I think it was the Benghazi movie. That movie was great.
So
You
12
know,
was it 12 hours or 13 hours?
yeah, yeah. I think it was. Yeah, that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
The one, the Peter Berg movie. It's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah, and Jim from The Office is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
a good
Peter
movie.
Berg movies. Everything just about he does, man. I enjoy even the silly
All
stuff like Battleship,
you're right. That's where I was going. I'm like Battleship. Really?
Hancock. Yeah. I like Battleship. It was silly, man, but I liked it.
Yep. They yeah, that movie's I tried to watch that. I couldn't get on board.
No.
No.
Yeah. It's a dumb action movie.
I
It
like
makes creative use of AC/DC and, the
well, I mean,
beginning is
look, yeah, I like some of this stuff, and I like the actors in it, but I was just like, oh. And
it's one of those
actually,
that I'll
the
just throw
opening,
on and let it go and just like
yeah,
maybe take a nap, wake up. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember the scene. Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome. And then back to sleep.
that's how I mostly catch it. If it's on, it's like, oh, this is one part, like, but I don't know, man. I mean, honestly, though, this minute could intercut with some of the stuff from Battleship. It's all Navy,
Yeah, that's all you guys about
or
Florida, maybe, yeah.
well, I mean, you got the Marine assault, landing crafts though, but it's still. And that's the only thing missing out of this movie is like a giant alien sphere that's dropping like bombs on ship and
Yeah.
Taylor Hitch or Kitch or whatever his name is. Could have been in the movie. He's in all the Peter Berg movies. Do you got anything else you would like to cover about this minute since we're talking about every other war movie but this war movie?
No, man. No, there's really not a whole lot going on here.
Yeah, we'll spare the people our musings then.
For now.
For now, we'll get into actual we'll get into actual movie story here on Monday.
Yeah.
We'll get some dialogue, and we'll get some of our familiar faces. For right now, we're just getting Lanny Crafts. I mean, I like this stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't make for riveting podcasting.
No, it's all set up. It's all set up.
Because we're not actually doing the invasion yet, I'll save some of my notes of that I've learned about the invasion and some neat stories till after. Yeah, Perry, final thoughts for the week?
None.
Cool. Same here. Nothing here. We'll just it's Friday, moviesbyminutes.com. Check out Star Wars Minute. Check out some of the other Movies by Minutes from guests we've had on. There's quite a few. Come back on Monday. We'll hopefully get some action and we'll get some dialogue. We got action now. Come back for some dialogue. This is like our own personal D-Day, so I got nothing, dude. That's okay. Well, anyways, let's just ask everybody to come back on Monday, and thanks for listening.
Cool. Thanks, guys.